You have made your choice, and soon your voice will be heard. The polls officially closed across the state, and those results are starting to flow in as we wait to find out who will be the next leader of Kentucky. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Wave 3 News. I'm Janelle McDonald. We have team coverage all night of the races that impact you, including one of the tightest competitions in the country right now, and that is the Kentucky governor's race. Wave 3 News reporter Connie Leonard is with Democrat Jack Conway's campaign in Frankfort. Our Gordon Boyd is with Republican Matt Bevin in Louisville, while Katie Bauer is covering the important mayor's races in southern Indiana. And Scott Reynolds also with us tonight. Scott, you're going to bring in some analysts to talk about these races. Yeah,
we've got our great experts, Janelle. A little later, Bill Stone, the former Jefferson County GOP chair, and also State Senator Morgan McGarvey, the Democrat from Louisville, the St. Matthews area, joining me to talk about these close statewide elections, what maybe made the difference, the campaign strategies, and already I'm hearing from those guys by early returns they can get a feel of who will win this governor's race and the margins from where the votes are coming in Fayette, Lexington, and Jefferson County. So we'll have that in about 20 minutes.
We're anxious to hear from them. Thanks, Scott. Right now, though, we want to go to Shannon Kogan, who is in our interactive zone. And Shannon, you're tracking these results as they come in.
Yes, we are, Janelle. And as you can see, we do have reporters all across the state. We're going to be bringing you everything that you need to know. But first, let's take a look at those early numbers coming in on this very important governor's race in Kentucky, being watched by so many around the country. And as you can see, with just 1% of the precincts reporting right now, Democrat Jack Conway with a lead, 54% to Matt Bevin's 43%, and then independent Drew Curtis there has 4%. Well, right now, we want to check in with Wave 3 News reporter Connie Leonard. She is with the Conway campaign. She's at the Frankfort Convention Center right now, so let's check in with Connie live. And Connie, tell us what the mood is there tonight.
Hey there. Well, I tell you, the Democrats are hoping they're going to have a big victory party here tonight, and I'm with David Bergstein with the Kentucky Democratic Party. And David, first of all, let's talk about Jack Conway. Today, after he voted, he seemed very relaxed, very relieved, if you will, that this campaign is over. This has been a tough one for you guys. You really have been out there crisscrossing the state. Folks in Louisville have seen a lot of campaign commercials, but Jack was out busy in the state really trying to get the voters on the ground. How do you think you guys did?
Absolutely. Well, I think we saw, both Jack Conway as well as all of our Sandy Overly, as well as all of our Democratic candidates working hard till the last possible minute in Louisville, in Lexington, in rural areas across the state, making sure that Kentuckians across the Commonwealth knew about our message of moving Kentucky forward, knew about the contrast in this race when it came to health care, early childhood education, and job creation. And, we've spent the last several months and certainly at a fevered pitch for the last several weeks making sure we're reaching every voter we can with that message.
All right, let's talk about all the Democrats now. We talked to Andy Beshear just moments ago. He was telling me that, he believes that there are going to be a lot of victory speeches here tonight. Is that what you think?
Sure, we're certainly hopeful. No doubt there's going to be a close election, but I think what it will come down to is the contrast in the message between the Democratic candidates and the Republican candidates. We are the ones talking about growing the economy for the middle class. We're the ones talking about, early childhood education, programs that really do help Kentucky families. And what we've seen from the Republican ticket is both extreme ideas as well as a real lack of unity. Throughout this campaign, Matt Bevin has continually struggled to unite the Republican Party behind that. And I think you will see that reflected in some election results, particularly in some of the areas, more rural areas of the state.
All right, David, thank you so much. Good luck to you tonight. And speaking of Matt Bevin, we are going to go over to Bevin campaign headquarters, if you will, tonight in Louisville, where our Gordon Boyd is standing by.
Connie, Republicans starting to gather here as the polls have closed in Western Kentucky. We talk about every vote matters and the potential for a spoiler roll here. Coming out of the weekend, the polls were showing independent Drew Curtis at about 6%, which would be 1 point above what Jack Conway's lead was in the polls over Matt Bevin. But when you figure in the margin of error, we are talking about a statistical dead heat. We're going to know soon enough now that the polls have closed in the central time zones all across Kentucky now, closed. South Central and Western western Kentucky, conservative territory that could well swing this election. It is Jamie Comer territory, where he fell 83 votes short of beating Matt Bevin in the primary and becoming the nominee himself. You run strong there. You could conceivably could trump the turnout percentages expected in Louisville, Lexington, Covington, Frankfort. You might be looking at a victory. Party Chairman Steve Robertson concedes that voters may be fatigued. A hard-fought Senate race this last year in which Bevin played no small role. But Robertson says Kentucky wants change, and Bevin's recipe is resonating.
Louisville's important in the sense of, we certainly don't expect to win Louisville, but the question is what's our margin of defeat in Louisville? Is it big or is it manageable? Every county is important, and we're turning out voters everywhere because they all matter.
Robertson says that Bevin has dealt with retirement plans as an entrepreneur, reason enough, he says, to believe that Bevin is the better man to deal with Kentucky's pension pit, why he also is reassuring teachers and state employees that their pension system will stay, but that change has to come. A long night would appear to work in Matt Bevin's favor, particularly as those western Kentucky numbers come in, if he keeps it close in Louisville, which means that we're not likely to see him for anything significant until he has a pretty good idea of what the outcome is going to be. Live with the Republicans of the Gulf House East, Gordon Boyd, Wave 3 News.
Gordon, thanks. And also tonight we are following some mayoral races in southern Indiana. They're deciding on mayors for New Albany and Jeffersonville. So let's go to Jeffersonville at the Kai's restaurant. That is where Wave 3 News reporter Katie Bauer is covering these races live. And one candidate feeling pretty good tonight.
Well, Shannon, it's already starting to get a little loud in here. Here at Kai's, this is where the Clark County Republicans are gathering. Let me show you the crowd, and a lot of people are hoping for a lot of victories here tonight. So far in the mayor's race, a lot of happy people and cheers from this end as those numbers are coming in, and incumbent Mike Moore is ahead of city councilman and businessman Democrat Dennis Julius. This was a race that a lot of people had their eye on and weren't sure which way it was going to go, because at times it did get quite heated and big money was spent for both candidates, so a lot of interest. Now Mike Moore is not here yet, but the supporters expect him to be here at any time. I want to tell you that we are following the New Albany mayor's race very closely, as well as incumbent Jeff Gahan tries for his second term against Republican Kevin Zerschmidt. So as soon as we get any of those numbers, we'll be sure to pass them on. Back to you guys.
Certainly a packed room there. We'll be checking back in with Katie Bauer as well as our other reporters covering all of the campaigns throughout the evening. And we want to remind you that you can always go to wave3.com for the very latest, and for updates at your fingertips, you can just download our mobile app or get on wave3.com. The politics section on our website, that's where you need to go. It has everything that you need. Still to come tonight on Wave 3 News, we are taking a look at the other races across the country being watched closely, including one that could put legal marijuana just a couple hours away from Louisville. Plus, a break in the case of a missing UPS pilot. The emotional moments from this afternoon search.
A very warm day today with highs in the upper 70s, not far from 80. A good day to get out and vote. The warm weather continues, but our rain chances will be going up. I'll show you when and let you know what that does to our weekend temperatures when we come back.
A possible lead sends dive teams into a quarry searching for missing UPS pilot Mike Kimsey. Wave 3 News reporter Casey Cunningham was with Kimsey's family as crews spent hours combing through that quarry off Old Henry Road in Louisville.
A beautiful day with devastating possibilities.
This is one of the hardest punishments a mother, dad, sister could ever go through.
Father, husband, and UPS pilot Mike Kimsey went missing in May. Tuesday, his parents traveled from Tennessee to watch as the LMPD dive team searched for their son in a quarry off Old Henry Road.
We've been walking through a dark tunnel for 5 months. but God promises there's a light at the end. Today, it may be the light we've been waiting for.
Renewed hope for Joanne and Larry Kimsey as they've worked closely with the K9 group to search for their son. Even meeting the KY K9 dogs who helped search for his scent, they say led to this quarry.
I mean, look at this. What more could I ask from anybody?
To your left, back to code.
Police combed through the quarry, telling us algae was making for a tough search. The fire department even on standby to help remove algae as the divers exited the water. Back on shore, Joanne and Larry Kimsey share their memories of their son. A sharp guy, they say, joined the Air Force for a greater challenge.
He's touched a lot of lives, and he's helped a lot of people.
With Tuesday's search coming up short, the Kimseys say they're channeling that same determination their son had.
It may take a while, but we're going to win it.
And until Mike is found, they're sharing with us his legacy.
So Michael, dead or alive, he's changed the world.
That was Casey Cunningham. Police called off the search this afternoon. If you have any information on Kimsey's disappearance, call police. You are looking live right now at Matt Bevin's headquarters in Louisville. We have more coverage of this gubernatorial race and also the results coming into our newsroom. It's straight ahead.
Yeah, we've got a forecast that takes us into the weekend with cooler temperatures and even a chance for some strong storms. I'm going to time it out so you know how to plan your week. That's coming up after the break. As we head to break, oh, look at those Kentucky lottery jackpots. That Mega Millions is $144 million, and the Powerball not far behind. It's $142 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination.
A recent study found the number of Americans using marijuana has more than doubled in just 10 years. In tonight's Focus on Health, Wave 3 News reporter Julian Glover takes a closer look at the possible consequences.
It's the highest number of Americans ever reported to smoke marijuana. The 2013 government-sponsored study reports an estimated 9.5% of U.S. adults admitted to using marijuana. That's double the 4% reported in 2001, meaning millions more Americans are lighting up. And not because of medicinal use. Amanda Newton of 7 County Services.
We should probably expect some increase due to, decriminalization of personal use of marijuana and it being legal in some states.
Newton says the findings of the study aren't surprising, but they are alarming. An increase in drug use means more people getting addicted. The study finding 1 in 3 pot smokers showed signs of dependence on the drug, a big concern to public health.
It affects attention. Obviously, it would cause breathing problems. If you use it heavily, especially when you're younger, that could lead to a drop in 8 IQ points, which is huge.
Public safety, another concern. With more people smoking weed, the number of drugged drivers is skyrocketing. Another recent study finding that 15% of drivers pulled over tested positive for marijuana, and new numbers showing that in a third of all fatal traffic crashes, marijuana was found in either the driver or victim's bloodstream. Meanwhile, the researchers at Washington State University are working on a breathalyzer to pull drug drivers off the road. It's expected to be ready for use sometime in 2016.
When people are impaired driving, no matter if it's alcohol or a substance, it's extremely, extremely dangerous.
And while many continue to argue marijuana is no more dangerous than alcohol and cigarettes, its function as a gateway drug to harder and more dangerous narcotics remains constant. So if you or someone you know is battling addiction, remember, there is help out there.
And 7 counties provides outpatient counseling. JDAC provides inpatient and outpatient, and our Lighthouse is our residential for adolescents.
For more information on this story and a link to the resources provided by the 7 County Services, head to our website and click on I Saw It on Wave 3 News. With your Focus on Health, I'm Julian Glover, Wave 3 News.
Marijuana on the ballot in a couple of places today, including our neighbor to the north, Ohio. Voters there today deciding whether to legalize recreational marijuana, but it's complicated. One ballot initiative would legalize pot, but only allow 10 farms to grow it. It would make a group of investors, including entertainer Nick Lachey, very rich. Another initiative would make that rule illegal. So if both pass, there could be a court battle. Meanwhile, in Colorado, voters are deciding what to do with the millions of dollars in extra tax revenue brought in from legalizing marijuana. Not sure about the weather in other places around the country, but in Wave Country today, weather was no excuse not to get out there and vote. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned told us about these warm temperatures last night. Kevin, it's going to be a good few days to be outside.
Yeah, we're talking highs back in the mid-70s tomorrow and again on Thursday. It all comes to an end Friday with a chance for some thunderstorms. We'll time that out for you. Outside tonight, still on the warm side, 72. East-southeast breeze, 5 miles an hour. Temperatures today hit 79. Not a record, but close. 82 is the record set back in 2003. When we look around the region, most areas have fallen into the news. If you're making plans Friday evening, the rain should be out of here. And we're back to a dry day Saturday. Good news for the football game here in Louisville. And you can see 50s for Sunday before we push back into the 60s and even 70 again on November 12th. But look what happens there. Pretty good storm system plows in here. Kicks us back into the 40s and 50s for highs a few days for the middle part of the month.
We need a little prep for winter, so I guess that'll be good.
Maybe that'll be it, yeah. Remind us, we got to get the sweaters out eventually.
Exactly. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
Right now we want to go to Shannon Kogan in the interactive zone where those election results are coming in. Shannon.
Thanks so much, Janelle. Let's take a look at some of those races that we're following here in the state of Kentucky. For Kentucky Secretary of State incumbent Allison Lundergan Grimes right there with 50% to Republican Stephen Nipper 50% right now. That is a tie. He had said the most challenging business problems can't hold a candle to being the father of 6. In the race for Kentucky Attorney General, you can see Andy Beshear has 51% of the vote to Whitney Westerfield with 49%. And in the race for State Auditor of Kentucky, Mike Harmon leading currently, the Republican with 53% to Democrat Adam Edelin 47%, but that's just with 1% of the precincts reporting, so we're still waiting for a lot of votes to come in tonight, and we'll be bringing you all the results right here. We're scrolling them for you on the bottom of the screen. You can also go to wave3.com. And still to come, Scott Reynolds will be joined by our political analyst to break down the gubernatorial race and talk about this year's campaign tactics.
And a check on that governor's race right now. Republican Matt Bevin with about, we're told, 7.5% of the vote in is up right now, 49 to 46% over the Democrat Jack Conway. Vote totals coming in quickly right now, and where they're coming from is so huge. I'm joined by our analyst tonight, Bill Stone, the former Jefferson County GOP chair, Senator Morgan McGarvey here from the Louisville area, St. Matthews on the Democratic side, and we want to get drilling down on these numbers. Right now, you just got some late information in, I believe, from Mike Ward.
I did. I heard that with 40% of Jefferson County, and right now that Jack Conway's up by about 8,000 votes. As we talk about, you extrapolate that out, that's about a 20,000 vote margin, which I think for Democrats might be a little worrisome. That might be a little low. But as you just said, the numbers are coming in so fast right now. We need to see how Jack and Matt Bevin are doing in the other counties before we can really make an accurate prediction.
And we don't know what parts of Louisville that's coming from, so that number could go higher than 20 or lower than 20. But Bill, if it was 20, what would you feel?
I think Jack would have a very tough night if it's only 20,000 votes. Here's the key to look at. Between Fayette County, Franklin County, and Jefferson County, in order for Jack to be comfortable, I think he needs to have a 70,000 vote margin. 50 to 75, it's a toss-up race. Under 50, Matt Bevin's our next governor. It's very critical to see how those turnouts are, where they are. Now, in these totals, how much of it is Northern Kentucky? I'm told Northern Kentucky came out very strong today.
For who would you think?
But I would think for Matt Bevin, it's a stronghold. And Matt Bevin won the nomination in Northern Kentucky.
You know, and to somewhat agree with Bill, actually. So Northern Kentucky is a deep Republican stronghold, and Boone County right now, one of the 3 northernmost counties in Kentucky, 100% of their precincts are reporting, and Matt Bevin won roughly 15,000 to 7,500 votes over Jack. That's not unexpected at all.
Right.
What I think it says, though, is that 100% of those precincts are reporting. You've got Democratic strongholds like Jefferson County and Fayette County over in Lexington, Franklin County, Frankfort area, that don't have all their votes in right now. We need a big number, but I actually think Democrats going against conventional wisdom are sort of hoping for a low turnout in this election. So I don't think you can necessarily look at the numbers from past races like the Senate races to say that you need a 75,000 vote margin. We just need enough to win.
And I don't think that Boone County result is fabulous for the Republicans.
Okay, and we were just told that Bevin is behind 68,000 to 51,000 now in Jefferson. Do we have what percentage is reporting on that? I'm talking to my producer right now. I'm wondering if we have a percentage total. for the 68 to 51,000 though in Jefferson County. We're not sure of the exact percentage.
Well, that's
Right.
good news for Bevan. I mean, it is.
Well, but it's going in the right direction. I think right now, as these numbers come in, we'll all look back and Monday morning quarterback this, right?
But
that
we're
could be
saying
good
this
news.
is a close
Right.
race,
It's a close
I think
race.
is what
This
we're
is
saying.
exactly
Mr.
it.
Cell Phone Computer has
I know,
all the
that's right.
numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, he helps me along.
We're
I'm a
going to be
little
back.
antediluvian back
We're going to
here.
break it down to some
But
of those
this is gonna
specific
be-
counties. And
I just got up 20,000 in Jefferson County with 2/3 reporting.
with 2/3, which could put him up to 30 in
That
Jefferson.
still
That's
is not what he needs, in my opinion.
We'll see. More news and election
is not
coverage
gonna be an
coming up
American
next
Pharaoh
as
vote.
Bill and Morgan hash it out here as the vote totals come in.
Candidates cast their votes hoping to be the next leaders in Kentucky. Andy Beshear, Matt Bevin, and Jack Conway all at the ballot boxes in Louisville this morning. Thanks for staying with us for this special edition of Wave 3 News. We're going to have much more of today's headlines in just a few minutes, but for now, let's go to Shannon Kogan in the interactive zone for a check at some of those statewide office races.
Thank you so much, Janelle. We're going to be checking in with our reporters who are covering both of the candidates in the race for governor of Kentucky. But right now, let's take a look at some of the other races here in the race for Kentucky Secretary of State. You see, now it was just a short time ago 50%, but now incumbent Allison Lundergan Grimes with a slight lead, 53% to Stephen Nipper with 47%. In the state auditor race, Republican challenger Mike Harmon, 50% to Democratic incumbent Adam Edelin, 50%, 1% of the precincts they're reporting. And surely one of the most watched races right now in the country, the race for governor in Kentucky. And right now we have 6% of the precincts reporting, and Democrat Jack Conway with a slight lead, 50% to Republican Matt Bevin with 46%. And as I mentioned, we have crews with both Bevin and Conway's campaign. First, we want to go to the Galt House with Wave 3 News reporter Gordon Boyd. He is covering the Bevin campaign tonight. And Gordon, talk to us about the mood there right now. How's it going?
The ballroom's starting to fill up fairly quickly, and as kind of cruising the buffet table, so to speak. And from what they are seeing so far, they kind of like the appetizer. By that, I mean the numbers they're seeing so far from Jefferson and Fayette counties. Yes, they show Jack Conway in the lead, but not by the margins that the Democrats concede that he needs to have coming out of those two metro areas to be able to declare victory tonight. The numbers, of course, still fairly small as far as the percentage of precincts reporting, but without Jack Conway coming out of about a 2-to-1 margin in Jefferson County, they believe his chances of victory grow that much more difficult. So they're
All right, Gordon, thank you so much. And as mentioned, Connie Leonard is in Frankfort. She is with the Jack Conway campaign. So let's go to Connie Leonard live and see how things are going. So very early still, Connie. They feel like it's going to be a late night there?
Yeah, Shannon, that's right. Of course, a little while ago, got very quiet here at the Democratic headquarters in Frankfort because Jack Conway was trailing by quite a bit. I want to pull Larry Clark, of course, longtime Democrat with Kentucky House. Yes. Larry, what were your thoughts when you first saw the numbers coming in? A little worry here.
Well, of course, you're worried whenever your candidate's behind. We don't know what counties they're reporting so far. I think the key districts for Jack Conway is Jefferson County, Fayette County, and here in Frankfort, where he has to win strong in those three bases to win the election. He's got to come out of Jefferson County with at least 60% of the vote. 65, he's definitely a winner, but he's going to have to run strong in Jefferson County. And I think 23% of the 23 counties have reported he's like 1% up, but it's still early in the night, and hopefully at the end of the day, Jack will be the winner.
We could have a long one here tonight, Larry.
I think so, almost like the May primary the Republicans had. I think it's going to be a long night for several of the candidates.
All right. Well, we're going to find out, Larry. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to hang out here and see these votes come in. It's probably going to be a tight one, it looks like. Connie Leonard reporting live from the Democratic headquarters in Frankfort. Back to you.
Connie, you and Gordon both will be watching. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, in Clark County, voters there went to the polls to decide if they wanted a tax increase there. The Greater Clark County Schools referendum would increase property taxes to update school buildings in the district. River Valley, Parkview, Charlestown Middle, Hill would all be remodeled if approved. Wilson, Parkwood, and Jonathan Jennings would get new schools on their current sites. The price tag about $110 million, and that would mean an increase of about $65 for a homeowner who has a home valued at about $100,000. We're still waiting for those results to come in. However, our news partner at the News and Tribune has told us that as of now, it appears that that vote has been turned down, meaning they will not get a tax increase. In Louisville, the special election to replace Councilmember Jim King's District 10 seat. You recall that King passed away earlier this year. Right now, with 24% of the precincts reporting, so a fairly good amount, Democrat Pat Mulvihill has 66% to Bob Redmond with 34%. And you can follow all of these races just immediately by going to wave3.com or using Wave 3 News' mobile app. And right now we're going to go back to Janelle McDonald, and we are following all of this, Janelle, so much more still to come.
All right, we'll stay with you, Shannon. In other news today, a protest filled the office of U of L President Dr. James Ramsey. As Wave 3 News reporter Natalia Martinez explains, this Halloween party picture has now become much more than a nightmare.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. One single picture ignites a firestorm for a university already under heat.
It's incredibly heartbreaking for me to see a picture from the leadership like that.
President James Ramsey's office never been louder. The protest continued as 7 students met with Ramsey behind closed doors, equipped with a list of demands. On the top of that list, a public apology. It also included a broader diversity effort to include top university employees and staff. Students felt disappointed.
Our voices are not wanting to be heard. He doesn't care.
Ramsey granted them 30 minutes for the meeting. They said he agreed to nothing on their list. To those protesting, the now famous picture speaks 1,000 words.
That my brown skin is not good enough to be a part of a society that says that we have freedom and that we are together as one.
The Dean of Students turned down our request for an interview.
But the president has said no comment, so we're hoping that somebody with the university will be able to talk to us.
Ramsey has also not agreed to any interviews about the picture. Later in the day, he provided a statement saying he did apologize during the meeting and offered to continue working towards diversity goals. Natalia Martinez, Wave 3 News.
Well, speaking of the cards, the U of L Board of Trustees has now set its agenda for a special meeting this week. We told you last week the meeting was called after news of the prostitution and stripping scandal broke, but it was unclear if that was the focus of the meeting. Unfortunately, the agenda doesn't shed much light on that either. A spokesman tells Wave 3 News that the trustees plan on having most of their discussion in executive session, meaning the public cannot be there for it. On the verge of getting shut down, the Economy Inn passes its latest inspection with a perfect score. The embattled motel off Bardstown Road failed its October inspection with a score of 82, but on its follow-up inspection Monday, the motel scored a perfect 100. A passing score on this follow-up inspection means the motel's operating permit will not be suspended, but because of past violations, the Economy Inn is on an increased inspection schedule, meaning the Department of Public Health and Wellness will be back in just 30 days. Still to come, Kentucky State Police's efforts to keep schools safe if an intruder breaks in. In response to violence in schools across the country, KSP troopers got some special training today. It is called School Safety Training. KSP Post 7 was in Lincoln County working to be prepared for an active shooter situation inside a school. School administrators across the state helped troopers develop this program aimed at teaching schools how to respond in those situations. Louisville's newest hotel welcomed its first guests today. A loft hotel in Louisville located at 1st and Main Streets is now officially open for business. The new hotel features 175 rooms plus a new cocktail bar and eatery called Corner Flavors of Kentucky. 40 of Aloft's rooms are booked for tonight. The hotel will hold a ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday. And don't forget, Wave 3 News' Spread the Gloves campaign is officially underway. We are collecting things like gloves, mittens, hats, scarves, and coats for families in Wave Country to keep warm this winter. Here's how you can help. Right now through November 20th, bring new and gently used items to our Wave 3 News studios in downtown Louisville, or you can go to any Kleinert Coots Hand Care Center or Advanced ENT and Allergy locations. All of these donations will go directly to children in Louisville and southern Indiana.
Lots of numbers so far flying across the screen. I've got some more numbers for you, but of the weather variety, details on the ups and downs coming our way right after the break.
Watching those numbers come in, as now more than a third of the precincts reporting, and other numbers we've been watching today, the thermometer, it's climbing, or it was.
It's quiet right now in the studio, by the way, but it is noisy in that newsroom. Everybody's running around like crazy trying to get all these numbers in, so busy times
People
for us.
working hard.
Yes, at least we got the easy job for weather because it's nice and quiet outside. Take a look at the highs around the Ohio Valley. We were actually one of the warmer spots across the 5-state region. The only spot that was able to beat us out, Charleston, West Virginia, at 80 degrees. And we almost got there today, and I think another 30 minutes extra, we probably would have reached that. Wouldn't have been a record, but it would have been about 2 away from tying it at least. Our Kentucky One Sky Tri-Camera right now, look at that, that's pretty. The Big 4 Bridge all lit up there as we head into this Tuesday night. Clear skies at the moment overhead, but still quite warm outside, relatively speaking, for this time of the year. 72 degrees in Louisville at the moment, and we've got a few clouds across the southern part of the country. It's a general south flow that is going to kick in as we head through tomorrow and Thursday, and with that south flow, it's coming off the Gulf of Mexico. That is going to increase our moisture, and at times it'll increase the cloud cover and perhaps passing sprinkle or for the front moves by, but at least the weekend is dry and sunny, and that's the important part, so we can handle some Friday morning storms.
We can. Good attitude.
Yes.
All right.
Try to think positively. Yes.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take another look at the election results pouring in. The polls have been closed statewide for almost an hour now. Plus, Scott Reynolds there sitting down with our political analyst.
This is a Wave 3 editorial with Vice President and General Manager Ken Salvaggi.
Louisville will honor veterans with a parade for the 5th straight year next Wednesday after a half-century hiatus. The parade will be at 11 a.m. on Main Street between 4th and 6th Streets. We encourage you to thank a veteran for his or her service over the next week and share photos of your favorite vet on our Wave 3 News Facebook page, particularly local vets who have served in World War II. We will share them with parade organizers who are planning a special tribute to them during next year's parade. Wave Country has certainly been a huge patriotic region in America, with more than 750,000 vets in Kentucky and Indiana alone. Less than 10% of Americans have served in the military, and we owe all a debt of gratitude.
If you'd like to respond, go to wave3.com and click on editorials, or send your response to this address.
Welcome back to Wave 3 News. Decision 2015 coverage tonight. It is now 7:52, and some of these races now being called. Let's begin in the race for Kentucky Treasurer. 33-year-old Allison Ball, a Republican, now declared the winner with 61% of the vote. Of course, we still have some of these precincts coming in. And in the race for Ag Commissioner, another Republican now declared the winner, Ryan Quarles, over Jean Marie Lawson Spann. And let's take a look at how things are shaking out right now in the all-important race for governor of Kentucky. This one we could be following very late tonight. So far, with 61% of the precincts reporting, Republican Matt Bevin with a lead of 52%, Jack Conway with 45%. Once again, let's check in with Scott Reynolds, who's been crunching these numbers with our political analysts. And what do they think so far, Scott?
Well, Shannon, a little bit of a surprise here from our analysts tonight. Bill Stone with the GOP, Senator Morgan McGarvey here, also for representing Democrats tonight. And as we watch these numbers come in even early on, you said maybe the numbers weren't quite as strong as Jack wanted in Jefferson County, Morgan. And it turned out to be that way, as it's almost all in now?
I think it's still, yes, I think it's still low. I think the Democrats needed to get a better percentage out of Jefferson County, Fayette, Franklin, sort of, what Bill we were talking earlier, we call the golden triangle, especially out of the Eastern time zone. I think we've seen in the last 10, 20 years that the Eastern time zone in the state, east of I-65, has been better for Democrats than west of I-65. And now as we start to get the poll results coming in from Western Kentucky, I think it's not looking as good for Democrats.
These ad campaigns have been going on and on. Conway running some ads against Bevin and taxes, and whether he really got the taxes sent to the right mortgage company, or was he really in charge of his family's business. But the taxes, had been late in the family or on that house, and did it work? Was it effective? Apparently, at this point, it's not.
No, it's not effective because Democrats have been creaming Republican business candidates for years now about those kind of issues, and they're sort of falling on deaf ears. They're going to have a better one-trick pony next year.
But some would say it was a one-trick pony for Bevin, going, here's another guy who's going to vote for Obama's policies on coal, on this, on that.
That's not overdone yet. The reason that's fresh. Obama is in the White House screwing us up every day. So it's fresh, it's new, it's current. These anti-business campaigns by the Democrats are not productive anymore.
Morgan, nationally, we've got this guy out there on the GOP side who's excoriating the press, lashing out at them, and kind of an outsider, a businessman, Donald Trump, doing well, still in the polls, although he's slipping. Matt Bevin mirrors that a little bit, it would seem, in Kentucky. Is there some of that same, we're sick of the same old going on, maybe here tonight in Kentucky?
I think so, and I disagree with one thing my friend Bill said quickly. I think Jack Conway ran ads that attacked Matt Bevin and things that he has done, or at least has been alleged to do. The Bevin campaign and the Republicans ran ads against Jack that just focused on the president and didn't focus on anything Jack's necessarily done or hasn't done. And so, kind of going back to what you're talking about, there's an outsider appeal right now. I think that there is an outsider appeal. We see it both with Ben Carson on top of the polls and Donald Trump on top of the polls. Who would have thought on that stage that those two individuals would be leading this race? And Matt Bevin right now, I do feel like has that sort of outside appeal.
Well, the public needs now is a national civics lesson. They really don't know how government works. And but I think in 2016, the presidential campaign, a lot of this stuff is going to happen.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us here on this. And I think one big indicator tonight was that Secretary Adam Edelin, he was in a close race tonight.
I just want to say, I think Edelin's candidate has been fraudulent, and I'll tell you why.
Well, but he was expected to win pretty big tonight, and he's not winning big tonight.
Because he has no more intention of serving as auditor than you do. He will announce in a couple of weeks that if he wins tonight, that he'll be running for the U.S. Senate.
He's winning in a close race.
And he should have leveled with the people.
Janelle, boy, we've got some interesting politics over here in this corner of the studio.
Absolutely, and people can watch that all night long, and a lot of conversations like that going on around the Commonwealth tonight. We want to thank you for watching this special edition of Wave 3 News. We'll be keeping you up to date on the election results throughout the night right here on Wave 3 News, and also wave3.com, and you can always check out our mobile app too. Sign up for push alerts on our app to get the results of the big races as they happen. And as always, you can expect a full recap tonight at 11. Have a good night.
Now, with Wave3.com and the Wave 3 News mobile app, you always have breaking news and weather right where you are. Sponsored by Rally's Hamburgers.